Hello everybody, welcome back to our channel kaviwebdesigns. Now today we're going to continue with the third lesson of our React Native course, which is useful third-party libraries. So now you're going to learn some useful third-party libraries such as from UI tools to API fetching. So the first third-party library we're going to learn is React Native Elements. So what is it? React Native Elements is a cross-platform UI tool with customizable and reusable UI components for React Native apps. What are the key benefits? It comes with ready-made components like buttons, cards, checkboxes, sliders, avatars, headers, and more. Then it maintains a consistent look and feel across both Android and iOS platforms. Then we have the theming support. You can define a theme and apply it globally, keeping your app design consistent, reducing the need to style everything manually with the style sheet. So why should you use it? Instead of writing your styles from scratch for every single component, React Native Elements helps you quickly design modern UI looks. Now we're going to learn about React Native Vector Icons, which is another third-party library that will give you amazing icons. So what is it? It's a library that allows you to use icon fonts such as material icons, iron icons, or font awesome in your app. So what are the key benefits? It offers thousands of icons from multiple popular icon sets. Icons are scalable and customizable, meaning you can change the color, size, and style based on your app's theme. You can use in navigation tabs, buttons, and form fields to enhance UX. Then it also supports icon buttons with touchable opacity for similar wrappers. So why you should use it? Icons make apps more intuitive and visually appealing instead of using images for every icon, which increases the app size. Vector icons scale well and look crisp on all devices. Then our final third-party library is Axios. So what is it? Axios is a popular JavaScript library for making HTTP requests from your React Native app to a server external API. It can do all sorts of things like the CRUD operation, get, post, put, delete. So what are the key benefits? It works seamlessly with asynchronous, making it clearer and easier to handle API responses and errors. You can modify requests or responses before they are handled. It allows automatic JSON transformation, requesting, timeout handling, and error catching. It's also great for working with REST APIs and receiving data between your frontend and backend. So why you should use it? When you're fetching user data from a backend server or submitting a form, Axios simplifies network communication and offers robust error handling and customization. So now enough of yapping and let's get right into the code. But before that, I would like you to show a demo. So for that, I'm going to open up my Visual Studio Code, and over here I will have npm start running. So first, when you get this over here, you run npm install to get the node modules and package.json, then npm start, then press I to open up your iOS simulator. So now if you don't have an iOS simulator, you should watch our first video where you learn all about them. Alright, so now over here there is a new version for Expo, and it's downloading it and installing it on our Expo Go app, and now I think it's ready. Here it's bundling our code that we have written, and there you go. So now it's all scrollable. Then over here we have a stack navigator. So we have React Native elements. So we have text, we have buttons, we have input cards, and over here is over here you can see this error, right? As because this is for error for support of default prompts, it's soon to be deprecated, so that's why it's giving this error. We also have cards, then lists, and over here if you see over here, this is a button. We have a inbox with this arrow, and we also have this and all. Then we have React Native vector icons. So we have a basic icon showcase with some of the icons. Then over here we have interactive icon buttons, so you can click on the buttons. Then we have animated icons such as the scale icon, the rotate icon, or the tap to shake icon. Then we have Axios examples such as the basic get request, Then we have the CRUD operations. So we can enter in something here. We can create a post. Post has been created. We can get some post from the JSON placeholder. We can update a post. So I'm gonna update this post to have some numbers. So I'll update it. Then I can delete this post, and that's it. So now over here there's some advanced requests such as fetch multiple resources, which will fetch multiple resources. Then we have custom headers and parameters, and we have also a timer request. Alright, so now let's jump right into the code. So now what you got to do is open up the source directory, and let's go with the React Native elements. So now I'm going to open up my text example, and over here I'm going to open up my text component. Alright, so now we are importing text from React Native element, also card and divider. So now card over here is this basically. So over here we have a card, so that's basically it, where we just wrap it around our card, and if you want we can give it a title using card.title. Alright, so now first we're saying text over here and a header. So header means how much big you want it. So over here we have some headers. Then we have a divider, that's just this line over here, and we have a text. So this is our regular text, and if you look over here we have a heading 1, which is big, heading 2 a little bit smaller, heading 3 even more smaller, and heading 4 even more smaller. So now over here these are the headings, and then we have our basic regular text over here. Alright, so now here we have text styles, and basically what we have done is we have created a style sheet where we have applied the styles. So bold means basically you make it bold, italic makes it italic, underline makes it underline, colored gives it a colored, then align center has the center aligned. So now here let's see the CSS properties. So we have font weight as bold and margin vertical as just a number. Then over here italic, we just set font style to italic. For underline we have set text decoration line to underline. Then for color we just have set a color to a string, so it can be a hex or RGB or RGBA value. Then for the align center we have just put text align center. Then over here we have align right, text align right. Alright, so now let's see the look of it. Alright, so now over here we have our bold text, our italic text, our underline text, our colored text. Then we have the center text. Then we have this right align text. So now let's try doing combined styles. So now over here we are combining our styles. So over here we are in the styles parameter we have actually put an array so that we can have more styles. So we are applying the bold and the color style. Then also we are over here we are applying the italic style and the underline. Then we are applying bold, italic and the color style. So now over here we have the bold and colored, we have the italic and underline, then we have bold, italic and colored. So now over here we have font sizes. So this is tiny 10 pixels, then 20 pixels, then 16 pixels, then 20 pixels and then 24 pixels. So now if you look over here we have this tiny text which is 10 pixels, small text 12 pixels, medium text 16 pixels, large text 20 pixels and extra large text which is 24 pixels. So then over here we have some special classes such as the number of lines that this should have is 2. So now we can extend it to 3, and over here so 3 over here or 1. So I'm going to press 1 over here and it'll come back to 1. Then over here we have the selectable text where basically we just have this margin vertical, this color and there's a font weight. Then over here we have text with background. So we have a container over here, a view. So this text container just has a margin vertical. Then this text with background has some numerous classes. So here we have a background of a color, then padding, border radius, so that it will show like a kind of like a button. Then overflow hidden, so if it overflows, just hide it. Then we have text aligned to center. So now if you look over here, this is kind of like a button, but we can't click it. Alright, so now that is our text. So I'm going to press back and let's go into our button components. So now let's go into our button. So now over here we're importing button from React Native elements, and over here we have our button. So we are giving it a title, solid button, and then we're just applying a style. So now over here this button container has just basically style of margin vertical, and over here this will give us a solid button which is the default. Then we have our outline button. So over here what we do is just say type outline, and it should give us an outline button. Then for a clear button we just put type clear, and it will give us a clear button. And notice over here even it's clear, I can still press it from here, and if I go out I can't press it more. Then over here we have a loading button, and we just say loading. So we can over here, instead of just writing loading, we can say loading equals true, and that will still be the same thing. So now I'm going to change it back. And now over here we have a button with the icon. So we have an icon prop over here, and we set the icon. So we have an icon, its name is right arrow, its size is 15, and its color is white. So now over here this will generate that icon over here. So if you look, we have this white arrow. So now I'm going to increase the size to 30, and we should see it increase. So now I'm going to change it back to 15. Alright, so now over here we have a disable button. So basically we just say disable, that means disable equals true. So it will be disabled. So now it will have some default styling, and then we can't press it. So I'm spam clicking and it's not working. So now over here, let's go to our input components. So I'm going to navigate in my input components, and over here we are using a simple use state, and you don't need to worry about this because we're just storing the value in this text, and plus we never even using it, so you can just delete it. So now over here we have a text, and we're just saying input examples, and we have put a style on it. Over here we have an input with a placeholder basic input. So now what that does is give also a placeholder with just a simple basic input and not even multi-line. Now we have an input with the icon. So now here we have a left icon, so we give its type, so where we should get this from, font awesome, and then the name, which is user. So now here we have our input with an icon. So now over here this is an input with like an email address. So now over here we have put the keyboard type as email address. We're given the icon as an envelope, so it will show like the email address symbol, and auto capitalization to null. So as because over here if we type over here, so I'm gonna go over here and type something R, and auto caps locks. So I'm not even using caps lock over here, and it auto caps locks for me. But we don't want that as because this is an email input and not like a name input. Then we have a password input. So over here we just put security text entry as true, and now you can't even guess what I'm typing. So over here you can see what I can type. So now over here we have our input. So we have an error style over here. So this is an input with the error. So error style color red. Then we have an error message which just says please enter a value. So now over here if I type it, it still won't go as because we have not put some functionality. Then we have multi-line input, and over here we have said multi-line. So that now over here what we can do is if we like hold. So now over here I'm gonna do some gibberish, and over here we have some multi-line functionality. So now let's go to our card component. So now over here you have seen with our text example, but over here the card example is really simple. So we are importing card and button from React Native elements. So over here we are using our text. Then over here we are using our first card. So we have over here a title. So that's why we written card.title to indicate a title for this card component. Then over here we also have a divider. So to indicate that we see card.divider. Then we have a simple text from the React Native library. Then over here we have a card with image. So now over here we have a title. So we have a card title, we have a divider, then we have an image. To do that, we do card.image, we pass in the source, which is an object that has a URI. Then over here we pass in a URI, which can be a path or a HTTP address. Then we have a style, we just set the height to 100. As because when you give this card.image, it will be like flat, so that it won't have any styling and you can't even see the image. So then over here we have a simple text, and then a button over here, so view now, and then we have a container style, which is a style button.container. Then over here we have a card. So this is a feature card. So card.feature subtitle with a feature subtitle. So now over here if you want a feature subtitle, you can have this. Alright, so now over here we have the divider, and then we have another image. So now here we have the basic card, and over here this is also wrapped in a scroll view. So over here we have the basic card, then we have the card with image and also this button, then also we have the feature card. So now over here let's go to our last one, which is list items. So now over here we have our users over here. So we have created an object with an array of our users. Then we have also the avatar, the subtitle, the name and all. So now over here we have the switch value for the button over here we're going to use, that's the switch. So now over here that also from React Native Elements, we have a badge, icon, avatar and list item. So you may ask, what are all these items? Don't worry, I'll take you through. So here we are mapping our users and also our index. We're passing the key as our index. Then we're also saying button divider, that means this over here. Then over here we have the list content. So over here we also have a avatar, rounded means fully, means a circle. Then we have the source URI, means your user the avatar, because over here in each object we have written user, and then in the object we have written avatar, and that avatar has our URI for our image. So that's why we are using user.avatar. Then over here in list.content we have a list.title, which is user.name. Then also we have list.subtitle, which is the subtitle over here. So now over here we have also a badge which has the value 99 plus or status error. So now over here we have a red background as because of the status error. Then we have 99 plus. So here we have the avatar image, which is just basically like an image but a bit more styling. Then we have the title and the subtitle. Then there's another list item that has an icon. So this icon is from React Native Elements, and over here we're referring to the icon, so we're giving the name as inbox and type of material. Then over here we have a list.content, so our content here we just have a simple title. And then over here we have list.chevron, so that arrow thing over here you see is called a chevron. Then over here we have this list item over here. So we have a list content, we have that icon, and over here we have a switch. So it's like that switch you see in your room, so you off it or on it. So basically it is. So we have the value over here, and that is our use state. So initially it's false, but we can change it. And on value change, we just set the value to this value over here. Alright, so now over here we have all of this, and then over here we have this little switch. So now I can just switch it on or off and on or off. So this is the off state and this is the on state. Alright, so now let's move on to the React Native vector icons. So I'm going to close some of these tabs. Then over here I'm going to go to my vector icons with React Native vector examples. So now over here I'm going to go to icon showcase, where over here what we're doing is basically getting all of these from React Native vector icons. These are components which store all of those icons that we need. So I'm going to show you a website actually. So I'm going to open up my Google Chrome, and over here I'm going to search for React Native vector icons, and over here I'm going to click on the first one, which is from GitHub, and over here you can see all of the icons that you need. So now you can scroll up, you can search for icon. So I want to search for Android, and over here looks like they have some Android logos. Let's search up Expo. Looks like it's searching for export. And over here the icon families over here are Ant Design and a lot of other ones, and mostly it's Font Awesome, as because they have like 1 2 3 4 5 of them. But over here there's thousands of icons that are here, so we're going to use some of them in this lesson. So over here we have scroll view, then we have a view. So basically over here we're using material icons. We're giving its name, so the icon name, then the size, then the color. So we're going to do this for material icons, Font Awesome, Ion icons, material community icons, and also Ant Design. So here these just act like components. So they give, this is a component with the prop of name, size and color. So now if you go to basic icon showcase, we have material icons. So we have a home, favorite setting, Font Awesome, we have rocket, hard user, and for Ion icons we have a camera, mail, map. Material community icons we have food, music, sunny, Then for design we have GitHub, Android and Apple. Alright, so now let's move on to the next one, which is animate icon buttons. So now here in icon buttons, we're importing a touchable opacity from React Native. But you may ask, why not we import a button from React Native elements? As because this touchable opacity is wrappable. So whatever you wrap in there becomes a button. So what we are basically doing is we're styling this touchable opacity and just adding over here, we're embedding an icon. So we're doing that over here for everything. So now over here we can go to interactive buttons, and over here we have our buttons. So over here what you all see over here is just basic styling, and then over here we have an on press prop. So when on press, it will just alert us. So we have icons with labels. So the icons with labels basically just have a text over here, and we have put some styles on it, such as our style which is we're using is button label. Then over here we have also styles for all of our buttons, such as this like button, such as this button over here, the trash button, and over here we also have some outline icon buttons. So now let's go to animated icons. So now animated icons can be a little bit complex. So now here we are importing animated from React Native so that we can use some animations. So now here we have some use state. These are crucial in our animations. So here we have this hot scale which is set initial value to 1, as because we're going to scale it. So the original scale is going to be 1, which is the original style, and we're going to scale it to 1.5. So this is our animated hot, we're scaling it to 1.5. And for animated star, we're having a duration over here, and what it does is just basically spin. Then we have this animated bell, which is a kind of complex, and what this does is just do back and forth 4 times. So array.4, because over here we're spreading this array function over here. Then over here we have the spin, so we're using a constant spin. So star rotation dot interpolate, and for both of these, so here for this we're saying 0 degrees to 30 degrees. So over here for the spin we're saying 0 degrees to 30 degrees, and for the output range for this bell shake, so minus 15 degrees, so kind of like this, and to 15 degrees, so like this. And over here we're just calling those functions. So now let's see it. So scale, so originally it's going to be 1, now 1.5. Rotate, so now here's 0 to 360 degrees, and then this tap to shake, so minus 15 to plus 15. Alright, so now let's go to Axios examples. So now Axios is a data fetching API or API fetching API. So let's go to our basic request where we just import Axios, and over here this is all just a UI, but what you need to know is over here. So we have a try, we have an asynchronous function. We're making a promise over here to get the first 5 posts, because over here we're given params and we are limiting it only to 5, and we're saying set the post over here to a post response.data. So whatever data we get, we put it in this variable over here, which is always observed by React. Then over here we're setting loading to false, and over here on the top we have a use effect. So what this basically does is when I come onto this page, so when this page loads, I really want you to fetch all my posts, and then over here we're going to use all of that information over here. So now I'm going to go here, you see the loading posts. I'm going to try reloading over here, and over here I'm going to go to basic HTTP requests, and over here looks like we have an error. Looks like the link is working fine. Looks like it's with our UI. Alright, so now let's try one thing. What I'm going to do is take this fetch posts over here, and I'm going to put it above the use effect. So now over here what that does is first it will, so over here it will first render this function, then only it will call this use effect. So now let's try that. What I'm going to do, so now what I'm going to do is press the reload button, make sure that it's reloaded, then go to basic HTTP requests. Alright, so now it looks like the error has been fixed. So the error was basically that when the use effect was before this function, it didn't know fetch posts. So that means it would never call it, as because the JavaScript is interpreted, so it will go line by line. So when we call this use effect, when the screen was opened, it didn't know about this function. So now then it just didn't run it and gone, and then it got this function but then just didn't run fetch posts. So that's why we have moved this function over here to the top. So now it registered this function, then only we have called use effect to fetch our posts. So that made it work over here. Alright, so now let's go to the CRUD operations. So now over here, this is the basic same thing. We have this base URL, and what we're doing is we're using Axios over here. So to create a post, we use .post. So Axios.post, we pass in our base URL and also a title, body, and user ID. So now our user ID is a dummy user ID as because this is not a real application. Then we have the read, or you may also know it as the get request, where we just get from base URL only one. So we get only one from our base URL. Then over here we have the put, that means update for you. So we have axios.put, base URL, we get the first one, then title, body, and user ID, we keep it the same. So here we can type in the title and body as something else and it will update it. So the response, the set response is type put, and then data is response.data, and the response is over here. Then we have delete, so .delete over here we do the same thing. We give base URL -1/1 as because our ID is /1. So now over here we have the type of delete and then the message as post deleted successfully. And over here for all of these we have a try catch, so that if we get any error we get this. Alright, so now over here we're going to use all of that data and some states to put it all together. Then also we have a loading indicator, an error display, and a response display. Alright, so now what we're going to do is go to our application. So I'm going to create a new one with the title of my post. This is my post. So this is my post over here. I'm going to create it. So now here my post has been created. They can get a post. So we get the post user ID as 1. But over here, when we create a post, our user ID is 1, but our ID is 101. So over here, what we actually got to do in CRUD operations is set our ID to 101. Because we have only set our user ID to 1, but over here we're accessing the /ID as 1. So that's why we're going to get a different response over here when you say get posts. So now if you just want to fix it, over here you can set it to the get request. You can set it to 101, I think. And let's try it now. And we get another error. And maybe it's just getting from the JSON over here, JSON placeholder. So if you open this over here, we see all of these over here, and they have all ID as 1 and user ID has 1. So everything has the user ID as 1. And let's try going to, and if you look over here, there's no ID of 100. So that's why it's giving us an error over here. So here that's why it's giving us an error, as because there is nothing that will give us 1, because there is nothing that will there is no ID with 101. Alright, so now let's move on to our advanced request, where we have multiple URLs. So we're getting from multiple URLs, and over here we're waiting all of our promises. So we're waiting to get all of our promises. So over here what we're doing is using array destructuring. So post is going to be this, then comments is going to be this, and user is going to be this. As because this is in order, so this is first, this is first, this is second, this is second, and the user is third, so you will go third. So then over here we're just setting our response. So post we get post.data, comments we get comments.data, and the user we get user.data. Over here if we get an error we catch it, and then we just set loading to false so that we don't show the spinner. Then over here we also have a custom header request. Over here we're just passing in another thing like parameters over here. So custom header equals custom value, and then we accept application/JSON. And over here we set our response, and then we catch if there's any error. So this is an example of request with timeout and error handling. So over here, first we wait. So now first we wait for it to come. But if it doesn't come in 5 seconds, it will time out and give us an error. So it's basically like that. So now let's check it out. So let's go back into advanced requests. Let's try fetching multiple resources. So what we get is an array object, another object, another object, and another object. So custom headers and parameters. So here we have some custom headers and parameters, and then we have a timer request. So here, if this takes 5 seconds, it will give us an error, as because it's taking way too long to load. Alright, so folks, that's it for today. Thanks for watching. If you like this video and want to support us, please like, share, subscribe to our channel kaviwebdesigns. And if you want any websites or mobile apps, be sure to contact us and we'll help you out.